Okay, welcome everybody. Okay, we're gonna do a quick explanation, sort of the next bill that we're gonna pass. We had some success passing the combination of precincts legislation, so we got that language passed through. Well, the next one that we need, and we've got a few days left to pass this, it's SB 618. Okay, let me show you what that's going to be all about. This is it right here. Okay, so this is the SB. There was a companion bill in the House, and the companion bill's gone nowhere, but this SB 618 has already passed out of the Senate and has been scheduled in the Elections Committee. It's coming up on Thursday. All right, if you're able to get down to Austin on Thursday to testify for this bill, that would be great. There are some people down there already that have been holding down the fort and have been staying down there and staying on this kind of stuff. And God bless them. Thank you guys. Okay. This was the bill that I was requested to make sure that gets out to everybody. I personally really like this bill. There is one complaint that's been lodged that it doesn't specifically name the Secretary of State as a potential perpetrator. Okay. Because what this bill does is the law as it stands is only this right here. So you'll see right here, it says a bill to be entitled, an act relating to the unlawful altering of election procedures, providing a civil penalty. This bill means to bind public election officials to the law and to provide an enforcement mechanism to section 276.019 in the Texas Election Code, which currently reads unlawful altering. Okay, let me just show you how to read this. Everything that's not underlined is existing law, okay, unless it's the title. Here's the title, and this tells you what it's going to do. Then after this, these little semicolon here, or this colon, every whatever. I graduated school. Everything after that is going to be, if it's underlined, they're adding it to it, all right? If it's struck through, they're removing it, okay? If there's a line through the words, they're removing that language from the existing law. If it's underlined, they're adding the language to the existing law. This is the existing law right here. Section 276.019 in the Texas Election Code. It's there right now. You can go and pull it up and read it. It says unlawful altering of election procedures. Civil penalty. So if you'll notice that civil penalty is underlined, they've added that, okay? And then they've also added a, because this law used to just be one sentence. This law used to say, quote, only, this is all it said. This is the entirety of the law until this bill. A public official or election official may not create, alter, modify, waive, or suspend any election standard, practice, or procedure mandated by law or rule in a manner not expressly authorized by this code, okay? I'd like to take out the word rule because I like to stick with the laws. Anyways, that's just this is pretty good, but we're adding all of this to it. Okay, everything under here that's underlined is being added to what was previously just a one sentence law. If you notice about this one sentence law, there's no enforcement mechanism here. It just says you're not allowed to change election procedures or alter them or make new ones or suspend or anything. Okay, you're not allowed to do any of that. We do that. Per Article 1, Section 4 of the National Constitution, we, the legislature, design the elections. And you enforce them. You enforce our design. So this is saying you can't change what we do, but there is no enforcement mechanism for this. The Secretary of State or a public election official is the enforcement mechanism for most other laws. But if a public official or election official breaks the law, there's no enforcement mechanism for that. So we're adding one. All right, guys, we are adding an enforcement mechanism right here. Everything after that is being added, and it's a lot. Okay, so this says it made this first sentence section A. Okay, that's why it's added A. And now section B, because it's adding more sections, says after the Secretary of State receives or discovers information indicating that a public official or election official has violated subsection A, the Secretary of State shall investigate the standard, practice, or procedure appearing to have violated subsection A. If the Secretary of State, and again, subsection A is saying a public official or election official broke election law. Okay? Just a reminder. If the Secretary of State determines that the violation of subsection A has occurred, The Secretary of State shall send to the public official or election official determined to have violated that subsection, 1, notification of the Secretary of State's determination, 2, a demand that the official immediately cease the implementation or enforcement of the standard practice or procedure determined to have violated subsection A, and instructions for the specific actions necessary for compliance with subsection A. This is saying that if we decide that if the SOS decides that, say, just for example, Chris Davis, I don't know why I'm picking him, Chris Davis, former election administrator for Williamson County, that one that I had that recorded phone call with that made it all the way to This American Life and NPR. Let's say Chris Davis has had a complaint filed against him. Let's say by Lori Gallagher, that people were getting the wrong ballot style when they were trying to vote in, let's just say, the 2022 primaries. Okay? This is all hypothetical. I have no confirmation of this thanks to Chris Davis. He was zipped up tight. Okay, let's say Chris Davis has a complaint. SOS says, you know what, Chris Davis, you're violating the law. The Secretary of State now will send a notification to Chris Davis and say, we've determined you're in violation of the law. You're going to stop doing that, okay? And also, here's what you're going to do to fix what you've done. That's what this is saying the Secretary of State shall do if they determine that a law has been violated, or whatever, if they violated subsection A, right? Which again, I'm just going to make sure that we're staying on the same page. Subsection A says public official or election official may not waive, violate, create, or suspend any kind of a law. All right. So the next thing we're going to read, we're at subsection C right here. If more than 2 days after receiving the notification under subsection B, a public official or election official does not comply with subsection A as instructed under subsection B3, the Secretary of State shall, 1, notify the Attorney General that the official may be subject to a civil penalty under subsection D, which we're about to get to, and 2, forward to the Attorney General law any documents or information received, discovered, or created during the Secretary of State's investigation under subsection B. Okay, so they're going to say, hey, Paxton, this guy's not following the law. He's breaking this specific law that says he's not allowed to break any other laws. Okay, here's all my evidence. All right, so then the SOS goes straight to the AG after that. D, a public official or election official is liable to this state for a civil penalty for each day that the official fails or refuses to take an affirmative action to comply with subsection A in an amount not to exceed $1,000 per day each day after the second day, and on or before the 7th day after receiving a notice under subsection B, or $5,000 per day each day after the 7th day after receiving a notice under subsection B. Do you see this? Do you see this right here? This is an enforcement mechanism. When we say we need to add an enforcement mechanism, this is one of the examples we're talking about. A fine could be an enforcement mechanism. A prison sentence, losing your position, okay, for breaking the law. Those are all perfectly reasonable enforcement mechanisms. You've got to have a penalty if they break the law. Otherwise, what's the point of the law? You know, this makes this the original law right up here, which is now subsection A. This new section, section D down here, makes this section enforceable. Okay. This section, okay, right here, D makes this section enforceable. Perfect. E, the Attorney General may bring an action to recover a civil penalty imposed under subsection D. That means the Attorney General can take your ass to court, okay? And they're going to be representing the SOS, all right? So good luck and rest in peace, because you're finished. Okay, now in subsection F says, a civil penalty collected by the Attorney General under this section shall be deposited in the state treasury to the credit of the General Revenue Fund. Okay, so it's just going back to the state. All right, you're going to pay the big dog, okay? Which is not Biden, it's actually Texas. G, documents or information received, discovered, or created during the Secretary of State's investigation under subsection B are confidential and not subject to disclosure under Chapter 552 Government Code. That's the Public Information Act, y'all. Unless the Secretary of State or Attorney General has determined that a complaint I'm hungry, guys. I'm really hungry. Okay. Has determined that a complaint submitted to the Secretary of State under this section will not be further investigated or the subject of any further proceedings or actions. This is basically saying it's not subject to the Public Information Act until we're done with it, until our investigations and the Secretary of State or the Attorney General is done with this. If they are still conducting investigations, let's say we made a complaint about something and it busted open a whole other can of worms. Well, they're not going to let any of that go until they complete their investigation, and that's standard for most criminal investigations. So I hope y'all understand the value of that and why that has to be that way. It really does. It's same with any lawsuits. You don't want to put stuff out for public political fodder if you intend to use it in a court of law, because it sort of cheapens it and it kind of alters stuff. You just need to file your evidence in a court of law. You don't take it to the media or release it. Okay. So all of this stuff related to this, any investigation into, say, Chris Davis, for example, okay, won't be released until everything is said and done. That's not ideal, but the rest of this makes it okay. The rest of this law, adding an enforcement mechanism, okay, that will very much discourage public officials from waiving election code as the law already is explained. Now, of course, we set the original law, which was just one sentence saying you can't waive or do any of this stuff. That was in SB1 back in 2021. That one that was kind of an omnibus bill. It did a lot of good, but it also did a lot of not good. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than nothing. And it's been overall, it's proven to be a good basis to have started from. So this is SB618, okay? You can see right here, SB618. This is already in the House. This is passed out of the Senate. This is into the House. It's in the Elections Committee. Please call every person on the Elections Committee and all of your representatives, and please kindly, very politely, and supportively request that they prioritize this bill and we get it passed so that we can make sure that we don't have any funny business going on in the elections, and no public official can pull the wool over the legislature's eyes. Okay, go ahead and play it up to them. Say, take back your plenary power. Use that term. Say, take back your plenary power as the legislature. Okay, to adhere to Article 1, Section 4 of the National Constitution. Y'all design the elections, not the Secretary of State, not the people coming to talk to the Secretary of State. Okay, not the National Association of Secretaries of State, not even them. Definitely not the National Association of Secretaries of State's sponsors, which are the voting machine companies. They also don't design the elections. They can design products for the elections, but they cannot implement those products unless the legislature expressly authorizes it. Sorry, Dominion. That's why you don't make the cut. That's why we don't use Dominion in Texas, because it didn't pass the smell test, okay? Legislature has certain standards. SOS is supposed to be enforcing those standards. All public election officials should be enforcing those standards. They don't change them. They don't negotiate themselves at the county level with the voting system vendors and say, sure, let's run elections like this. Hider, you don't do that. All right? Chris Davis, you don't do that. Thank you, guys. I want you to call your reps, and I'll be doing more of these little explainer videos, and I'll get better and better at them. I'm not that great at them. I really appreciate y'all, okay? I have taken down my Zelle, because Zelle, the donations app, you got to like go and get your bank's app, and then you got to set up Zelle through that, and I haven't done all that. So I'm still at Cash App and Venmo. I do have a PayPal as well if you'd like to donate. Donations are very much appreciated. They go a long way, and I very much appreciate them. They really help. Little things, like having to get a new tire before I go down to Austin. That'll make it to where I can't testify for a bill. So actually, the last time I went down, I got a very generous donation. I was able to get several new tires. They were used. I'm not buying brand new stuff. I'm not buying myself name brand stuff. But they were used in very good condition. I was able to make it all the way down to Austin and back. Tires are still looking good. So thank you guys for your donations, okay? Very soon we'll be releasing our nationally applicable poll watchers training course through an organization that I will not name yet publicly for a couple of reasons. Yeah, if you know, you know. I'm not going to go into it right here. But that'll be released soon, and when we can release it, we'll release it. Every single one of you who's donated or who has attended one of my in-person poll watcher trainings or who has taken my online course, you will be getting full access to everything that we're doing with this new organization, okay? I've got all of your information. I know who you guys are. No one else has it, just me. I don't sell that stuff. But I will make sure that you guys receive the initial invite, okay? Because you guys are the OGs. You guys are the ones that have always supported me, even when like nobody did, okay? So thank you guys. God bless you. Call your reps for reps in the house. Call your house reps to prioritize SB 618 in the elections committee, which is scheduled on Thursday. If you can be down there to testify for SB 618, that'd be great. If the only thing you can do is call or send an email, that's perfect. That's wonderful. It would be great if we could get more people down there, but don't think that just calling or sending an email is not good enough. It absolutely is. Every single one of them counts. Every single one of them. It's another stone, you know? It's like that. It's like we're like that guy that got pressed to death. More stones. Okay. It's another stone on top of them. All right. It's more weights, more pressure. So thank you guys. SB 618. Let's get that passed to close out this legislative session. It's been an absolute mess, but somehow we got some decent legislation out of it. Thank you guys. God bless you. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks. Bye.